This was my first. And it was my first being in charge of other people, too, and sending them to this same gun battle. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to episode, what are we at? 12.
Yeah.
Episode 12 of The Squad Room. I'm your host, Garrett Tesla. I am an active duty police sergeant here in Southern California. The goal of this program, if this is your first time listening to us, is to optimize the health and wellness and the lifestyle of peace officers, law enforcement officers, cops, all around the world, frankly. That is my world domination plan. With me today is who I've started just calling my co-host, Traver. Hello.
Hello.
And that's what we're trying to accomplish. There are 11 episodes prior to this that are always good listening. I encourage you to go back and listen to particularly episode 1 and 2, where you'll hear about me and what prompted this project and journey. And today is another catch-up. It's been a little bit of time since we talked.
Yeah.
We're back in the professional recording studio. You'll notice, though... well, let me stop real quick. Everybody, drop what you're doing, unless it's an arrestee. Then don't drop them, because someone's probably filming you somewhere. And go to iTunes and leave us a review. If you subscribe to the show, I don't know why iTunes does this, but you can't leave a review from your subscription page on iTunes. It's the one thing on Apple does that I hate. You have to search for the Squad Room in the podcasts area, and then you go to the podcast page for the Squad Room, and you can leave a review there. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think. Tell us what you like or don't like. Or better yet, just leave what you like, and then email me at squadrompodcast@gmail.com with the things you don't like, and we can maybe improve on that. Also, any comments or guests you think we should have on the show, shoot us an email, squadrompodcast@gmail.com. And also, please email us if you find something useful from these conversations. We get a lot of motivation out of that.
Definitely.
And we'll talk, too, about like the go bags thing, which was a hit. Now, because we're experiencing a heat wave here in the professional recording studio in Southern California, we have the professional recording studio garage door open. So everyone, you might hear an occasional car or truck go by. So it shouldn't be too bothersome, I hope.
Nah.
Maybe some kids riding their bikes down the street or whatnot.
Darn kids.
Darn kids. Speaking of kids, I want to point you to... Not you, the listener. I'm pointing at Traver, but you guys listening can't tell that I'm pointing at him. I have a whiteboard. It's actually an easel for like kids' art projects. And I came out here the other day to grab something, and my daughter was in the middle of... my daughter, who's 7, was out here doing push-ups, and I walk out, and she had written this out as her WAD. So for people...
Sit-ups?
She has... Yeah. Forgive the spelling. Sit-ups 10 times. She wants to do 3 miles per hour. That's pretty ambitious for a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
She wants to stretch for a minute.
Yep.
She wants to play keep away with a basketball for 2 minutes.
Nice.
And soccer for 4 minutes. Practice soccer ball moves for 30 seconds. Ride bike for 30 minutes. And swim if she can.
Excellent.
Not bad, right?
No, it's really good variety.
It's good variety. Upper and lower body cardio.
Yeah, it's good.
But no, I was actually pretty proud of her when I came out and she had done all that by herself and was in the middle of doing some warm-up push-ups. I was like, maybe I'm rubbing off on you a little bit. That's good. We also had a garage sale in the professional recording studio, so we opened up some space here, which is nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Luxurious.
Luxurious, yes. And the surfboard behind me is not going to get any use anytime soon because of the shark sightings around here the last couple of days. So I'm enough of a scaredy cat with the great whites that I'm going to stay on land for a couple weeks.
I say risk it. It's a pretty cool way to go.
Yeah, if you're going to go, might as well. I'm not big fanning though.
Squad room guy. He went out well.
Whatever happened to him? I got eaten by a shark. Well, no kidding. Yeah, yeah, weird, right?
Yeah. Thought law enforcement was dangerous.
Yeah, 12 episodes was good though.
Great run.
All right, so I mentioned the go bags, but that seemed to be a big hit home with people. I got a lot of emails and comments and Instagram posts or Twitter posts about that being a really easy to implement thing. And since we've spoken, I am now on day shift.
Okay.
All right. Major pros there because everyone's probably sick of hearing me complain about night shift. But that really got me through the last month of night shifts.
Excellent.
And really prevented me from, splurging,
right,
and making bad decisions. And I still keep those on day shift too.
Yeah.
Just you get caught out on a call and you're not near your cooler or a restaurant that makes it able to make good choices. So it's good to have those. So we talked about that in episode 9. Better is better. So if you want a glimpse of what the nutritional go bags are, it's basically a gallon-sized Ziploc. Mine has a protein shake, beef jerky, some nuts, maybe a protein bar of different kinds, and then water, lots of water.
Excellent. I actually give those to or have people that are not even law enforcement, but have a couple execs as clients, and they'll say, it's 6 hours of straight meetings, and it's either going to be coffee and donuts, which are in the back of the room, or whatever I bring in with me. And so I have a couple of them make go bags and leave them in the fridge in their offices.
Yeah.
So it can be applied across a lot of domains. It's not just a law enforcement.
Even if you're desk bound.
Yeah.
I mean, we got plenty of people who also are work desk jobs, and you get stuck at your desk all day. I mean, there's we hear the freshman 15 or freshman 40, depending on how hard you raged in your freshman year. But I swear to God, the same thing happens for detectives. All right, little technical difficulty there.
No worry.
Battery died in the middle of that, but anyway, as I was saying,
freshman 15, freshman
40 for detectives. You get a desk job and you stop moving around or being as active, sit at a desk all day,
right?
And you start to gain weight. So yes,
and it's always the times like that where where you're not planned or it's not prepared that we run into trouble.
Yeah.
And so just having a little bit of extra preparation saves us those 1 or 2 times a week or 1 or 2 times a month that turned into 1 or 2 times a week, which turned into every day, which turned into a huge loss of momentum, which turns into having to restart.
And it helped a lot too with that negative self-talk.
Really?
Like, ugh, I just went to Taco Bell and I know I'm going to feel miserable, and why did I do that? And,
right.
Now I don't feel like working out after shift because I already ate like crap, so what's the point? And,
the spiral.
I'm not, yeah.
Yeah. And
Shame spiral.
how can you stop that spiral at any point? Or the best way is preventatively, right?
Yeah. So that was good. So, today's just a bit of a catch-up as well. We have a couple of topics, but kind of a loose conversation.
Yeah.
One thing that it's end of summer, so this may not be. Well, I mean, kids are in school,
right?
I was talking about kind of like this shift, right? So, went to day shift, took a vacation. That was nice. Still wish I was there. We went to Hawaii. You've been to Hawaii?
Love it.
It's exactly like the postcard.
Yeah.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absurd.
I've been a lot of places in my life, and it's always like, oh yeah, that's the Eiffel Tower, or Big Ben, or whatever.
Right.
But Hawaii is like that. It's exactly that.
Yeah, it's
which is good.
Yeah,
yeah. So, but I imagine if you live there, then you're just like, it's home. It's like anything else.
Two guys podcasting in a garage in Hawaii right now going, Southern California, man.
Yeah.
It's just like what it looks like on the postcards.
Yeah. It was funny. This is totally off topic too, but it was funny when we were there and we were meeting people, and the either pride or shame that with where people said they were from was kind of telling. And maybe it's because we were in paradise, so to speak, or and I never paid attention enough to know if it was like we said where we live first, then they did, and then they felt awkward. But we got so many. There's a lot of Californians in Hawaii, and that was kind of a even playing field,
right?
But then we would meet these wonderful people from like Oklahoma, and we're like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, Oklahoma. Like they're embarrassed to say it. Or New Jersey was one. It was like. But they lived right outside New York City. I mean, amazing opportunities there too. But they, they're just like, we're from Jersey.
From Jersey.
Like, whoa, where? I'm like,
Bon Jovi's from
you're-
Jersey.
Yeah, right.
You guys are awesome.
The boss. Come on. Totally unrelated. So, I'm struggling with some things though, so that's why I wanted to talk.
Yeah,
with
let's
this
check
too.
in with you.
This change bullshit is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that?
It's hard. It's hard. And you're looking at a lot of change too.
Yeah,
You know? And
yeah. I'm struggling with this because I'm not getting as far down the road as I hope that I would or expect that I would have been.
okay.
I know a lot goes into that, this
Right.
expectation of perfection
Right.
and all that, but also it's just I don't know how to phrase it. I guess the obstacles to getting there,
Okay.
nothing insurmountable,
Right.
but are so ingrained
Okay. Tell me more about that.
that I read something.
Okay.
Ryan Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
He has a great book called "The Obstacle Is the Way,"
Mhm.
and I'm only halfway through it.
Mhm.
But and I'll post that link in show notes. Basically, it's a primer on Stoic philosophy. But he wrote a quote, and I have it here. I'll just read it. But he said, "When we believe the obstacle more than the goal, which will inevitably triumph."
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of hit me. That kind of struck me as being accurate.
Okay.
And got me thinking, do I believe more in the obstacle of being unfit because that's how I've been, even though I've been physical and I move, I mean, I do stuff, right? But I'm still, by my definition, unfit.
Okay.
I think by most anyone's definition, I'm unfit. So do I believe that do I define myself as an unfit person more than I define myself as someone who has the potential to be fit? Does that make sense?
Yep. Makes sense.
So I think that's where my issue might lie, or one of my issues. I have many issues. This podcast is only about one of them.
An identity issue? That you identify more with being unfit now than fit?
No, that's okay. Here's what's funny about that.
Okay.
I identify with being fit.
Okay.
I think in my head, and I like to think that this doesn't make. I don't know if this makes any sense. I think like how I think a fit person would think,
Got it.
but I don't act
Right.
how a fit person acts.
Right.
That, my actions, our intentions are in our actions, not in our words.
Right.
So I guess words and thoughts are the same thing in this kind of sense. And it's funny, I catch myself doing things like, diet,
Mm-hmm.
alcohol consumption,
Mm-hmm.
or negative talk to prevent me from getting to the gym, or finding a reason not to go to the gym.
Okay.
Those are things that a person who thinks like an unfit person
Right.
would do.
Okay.
A fit person finds a way to get to the gym, prioritizes diet, minimizes alcohol intake, or eliminates it completely because they know that it doesn't achieve their goals.
Right.
So I'm in this weird spot of, okay, so does that mean that I am just entirely undisciplined then? Well, that's not true either.
Mm-mm.
I'm disciplined in other areas of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm disciplined in my job.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've proven that I can be disciplined. I mean, I went through the 6+ month academy and did all the training that's required and maintained discipline in my job performance.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I have discipline in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just, Homer Simpson-esque sitting on the couch and eating Cheetos.
Mm-hmm.
But why? What's my reluctance, either consciously or subconsciously, to adapting that or adapting and adopting that to the rest of my life?
Okay. That's a
Tell me.
beautiful question. Lots of beautiful questions in there. So first,
So
let's
go ahead and answer that, and then we'll wrap up, and then
Cool,
I'll just
cool.
go.
Yeah, it's really easy.
Yeah.
Just do it. All right. This is episode 12.
Just a T-shirt with a slogan, and I'm
Yeah,
good to
yeah.
go.
So let's talk about some of the resistance and why you think you have the resistance there. Which of the areas is the hardest for you to deal with? Is it diet? Is it fitness? Is it motivation? Is it self-talk?
Diet. Definitely diet.
Okay.
And it's funny too. Like, motivation too. Okay. But motivation just kind of fluctuates though, because most of the time motivation is like banging drums, banging trash can lids in my ears, going, get out there, do it, go. Like, right. And when I don't have a chance to work out, all I'm thinking about is, I wish I was doing a workout right now and getting that in. I mean, I did one this morning, and I still 3 hours later still have that endorphin kick from it, right? And I love the days that I get to go do it,
right?
And I obsess about those days when I either can't get it in. Well, I say can't. See, that's a trigger too. Right. I'm saying I can't get it in. Well, that's bullshit. I can.
Okay.
I might have to change it,
right?
Minimize or reduce what I wanted to do,
right?
And we'll get to kind of those programming your own home WODs in a bit. But I like almost obsess about not getting to the gym if I don't.
Okay.
So motivation, I think, is typically very high.
Okay.
But if I don't get to the gym for a few days in a row, and diet decisions are the professional recording studio garage door being open, just my neighbor. We'll have a conversation later and tell her what we're doing. She almost crashed her car trying to rubberneck watching us. A couple days in a row, I start to then take that dive, and then it's like, but it's not a motivation. It's not a motivation change. Maybe that's where the self-talk comes in. It's like, what are you doing? You're screwing up anyway, or you're not. It's like why you're not really starting. So why start at all?
Okay.
And then you get in that, and then a couple days later you get back in the gym, and then all of a sudden I feel good again.
Momentum going. Let's deal with diet first and foremost. So when you're making less than optimal decisions, what's going through your head right before it?
Aside from insulin,
yeah. What's the thought pattern or the emotional state right before you go the oh fuck it?
That's pretty much it.
What's before that? Is it just I'm hungry? I don't have food around? Because it's not the actual putting the food in the mouth where the trouble is. It's the hour before.
It's it's this perception that of treating yourself, I think, still.
Okay.
And
treating yourself.
Keep in mind too, like,
keep talking about that.
I'm okay. Okay, so we went out to eat the other night, and I had the option between. I decided I wanted steak, which by itself is fine. I think
I agree.
It wasn't a fatty ribeye or anything; it was a sirloin. So, but I had the options of sides.
Okay.
And it was, like baked potato with sour cream and butter and all that, or rice, or a couple other things, salad maybe, etc.
Okay.
And I chose the baked potato.
Oh.
Don't judge me.
Oh. That's a non-judgmental.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of judgment in that.
Wow.
See if I can edit out the judgment in post.
So what was going through your head while you were making that decision?
Kind of I'm hungry.
Okay.
I want something substantial.
Okay. You got a steak coming.
Yeah, I got a steak coming.
Okay. What else?
It's going to taste good.
Okay.
It was one of those things. It was, I don't know. It was, there were better choices I could have made.
Okay.
And in hindsight, that meal honestly didn't give me too much grief, but that's just an example.
Let's use that example.
But
so you had the opportunity for better choices, and then what came through you, or what were you thinking right before you made the decision to get the baked potato?
I think I was tired.
Okay.
Long day at work.
Okay.
Kids were challenging.
Okay.
So
that's two external factors.
Yeah.
What was the internal factor? What was going through you?
I don't know if I can really. I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
if that's a good answer or not, but I don't know if I'm being that conscious about it. Maybe that's the point.
If you could know, if you did know, what would it be? Or was it just a fuck it? I don't care.
It's probably I deserve this. I had a hard day.
Okay.
Long day. I deserve a baked potato.
Okay.
I'm an adult.
Right.
I can have a baked potato.
Okay. So let's work through that a bit. What did you deserve about the baked potato?
Well, it's funny when you verbalize those things. It's like silly. It's a baked potato.
Yeah. What do you think it represented, or what were you projecting into it?
I don't know. My mom didn't love me.
Can always blame
Kidding,
the mother.
Mom.
Yeah. Great.
Mom loves me very much, by the way. Nobody freak out. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? And I know, to use a more extreme example, if I were to wolf down a Chipotle burrito, I would know. I know a couple things in advance of something like that, right? I know I'm going to feel a huge insulin dump in about an hour. I'm going to feel very groggy, like fighting sleep. It's going to be way too many carbohydrates. Most of them, no bueno. So, I mean, those are easy for me to anticipate. Sometimes I still do it. But more times now than not, I can say, wait, I know how I'm going to feel. I know what that's going to do to me, so let me do something different.
Right. Let's go back to the baked potato.
Okay.
Because it was an interesting point. You said, I deserve it. And so the baked potato wasn't a baked potato in that instance.
Right.
It was something else. And usually it's an emotional component. It's the pleasure that the baked potato is going to give you.
Sure.
Is that you deserve. You weren't, at the end of the day, going, you know what I deserve today? A baked potato. This is what I've earned by dealing with kids and sociopaths and the rest of society. I've earned a baked potato. It's the feeling of pleasure. And so if you can reframe that and have in your head, what is actually going to give you pleasure? Is it going to be this instant gratification of a baked potato, which will be gone in 3 to 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Or the next week knowing that, hey, I went out and had a steak, but I stuck to my diet. I stuck to this long-term goal. So it's really investigating, even before you go out, I would say, for someone in your situation where you're struggling. If you're not struggling, you get to make decisions on the fly. If you are struggling, you make decisions beforehand. So, okay, we're going to go to X restaurant. I'm going to look at the menu before I go because everything on earth is online. I know I'm going to get a steak. I know there are these 4 sides. I'm going to get the broccoli and the salad as the side. Okay, I have my dinner picked out. Well, that's not as sexy as showing up and getting to pick whatever I want right then and there.
Yeah.
But that's not an option for people who are struggling. So I have clients that will go out with a specific number of drinks that they're going to have in an evening. I'm only going to have 2 drinks tonight. Why? Because if they don't, they end up having 12. And they're not at the point yet where they're ready to get rid of alcohol completely. If they don't go out with a plan, the night turns into trouble.
Yeah.
If they do go out with a plan, they've visualized what the plan's going to be. They know how they're going to feel. They've accepted that feeling as okay, and that's a good goal for the night. And the pleasure they get from sticking to that goal is better than the pleasure if they think they're going to wake up not remembering the evening.
Yeah.
So it's step 1. You can go and beforehand figure out what you're going to do. Or really start to spend some time with why was it more pleasurable for you to eat a baked potato and get off of your track than it would have been to eat something that was probably just a little bit less delicious, but also would have kept you within your momentum.
Yeah.
And that's really for your own investigation, or we can hash it out. But look at that. Look at why sabotaging your diet, and all of us have a saboteur. It's just an archetypal pattern that we all have. That the hugely successful people have learned to override, but they still have it. And so you're going to confront that. Pressfield calls it resistance. Other people call it.
Yeah, I like how he phrases that.
The saboteur, but it's in there. Right. And so now you're bumping up against it. So now I would say Ryan Holiday is correct, because the resistance is the way, or the obstacle is the way. Because by looking at this now, you go, okay, what is underneath that? And is it a fear of failure, as we talked about, or a fear of success, even worse?
Right.
What happens if you start to become the guy that doesn't eat the baked potato? Is this now a life without pleasure? Or is that an emotional component that's really not realistic? But in the moment feels like it is.
Yeah. That's the thing, in the moment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know, like, using the Chipotle example, like, I know I get as much, more, actually, I get more gratification or sense of self from sticking to the plan than going off of it.
Right.
So I know, as a logical human being, despite what my wife will tell you, I'm illogical sometimes, that if I had gone and had that meal and had the broccoli and salad or whatever, that I know I will feel better about myself in 60 minutes if I order this.
Right.
But yeah, still don't do that sometimes.
Right. Well, left to our own devices, most of us will fail. That's the point of having a coach, period. It doesn't matter what it's for. Now, let's ask you this question. If you had to send me a picture, text me a photo of everything you were going to eat for the next 60 days, every single thing that you were going to ingest, would that change your eating patterns? Or if you were allowed to just eat whatever you want and no one would know?
Oh, yeah. Okay. It absolutely would, because there's so many things that go into that then that, first you have to think about it
right
a lot more. Then there's that sense of guilt or letting you down. There's a lot that goes into it.
I have some clients that have said you are allowed to eat anything you want. You want ice cream, eat ice cream. You want cookies, you want cookies. You want cake, you eat cake. And they're weight loss clients. All they have to do is send me a photo first. And then it's an open season. And I have not gotten photos.
Really?
No photos. I don't know if that means it's happening and the truth just isn't being told, but I believe it is.
Yeah.
Because it's just what it is, Garrett. If we look at it energetically, say it costs you $100 to not eat that baked potato. Every day you got to dish out that $100. But now if it only costs you 50 and then I throw 50 in every time you get in there, then it's a little bit easier. We're in it together. It's our combined financial energy, our combined energy to keep you on track. So, but again, left to our own, it's very difficult. Don't want to use the word impossible, but it's very difficult for someone solo who is managing a team of other law enforcement officers, I believe, kids, a wife, a world-class podcast,
thank you,
etc., to also then finance your own health on your own. Our lives are so complicated. Our lives are so multifaceted. To have every one of them have the same amount of discipline or energy go into success is very challenging, which is why the high-level executives or the high-level people that you see, I used to work for security for some CEOs, and they have an unbelievable team around them constantly. Why? Because they have too much shit to think about.
Yeah.
All they don't do their own travel. They don't do their arrangements. They don't do their own laundry. They don't do their own cooking. They don't do their own cleaning. They don't do anything but what they do well. But most of us aren't at that point yet.
Yeah.
So you have to take the $100 that it's going to cost you to keep that baked potato away and split that up between, okay, the kids came in and they were fighting today. All right, guess what? That's $20. Your wife's not that happy with you. Okay, that's $50. Well, now we've only got $30 left, and it costs $100 to keep the baked potato away. So you either got to call me and borrow $70, or you're going to eat the baked potato. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's managing all aspects, which is why we try to look at all aspects of your life for success, and what pieces can we put into place, which is why meditation is so powerful. It's why fitness is so powerful. It's why when one thing works, like, hey, I cleaned my diet up, and guess what? I got to the gym 5 times last week.
Yeah.
I meditated every day, and work was really easy. It's not just that these singular events happen in conjunction. It's that they bleed into each other.
I think, too, and we talked about this, I don't know what episode, but before, but I think an element of it, too, is just that cognitive fatigue of decision-making. And you just brought it up. You said it differently, but that struggle of, we got to, get the kids up and get them dressed and get them fed, and then I got to make decisions all day at work and make decisions about what we're going to have for dinner, or I mean, anybody makes hundreds, probably thousands of decisions a day that they don't even realize they're making.
Right.
And that if you're not super cognizant of the diet decisions you're making in advance, I'm taxed by the time I have to make it, and it's staring me in the face.
Absolutely. And don't think you're alone in that, and don't think there's something wrong because you didn't overcome the challenge. That's everybody. And everybody, I'll say this without scientific proof, everybody has an addiction. I don't care who you are or what you are. You're addicted to something, be it a substance, be it an activity, be it to your own thought process, be it to your own negative self-talk. We all have something. And for you, it may be around food and that arena where it's not so much an addiction, but that's where your natural weakness lies. And so that's where the area that's going to get exploited when everything else goes as life happens with kids, wife, and law enforcement job.
And it's weird too, like, you know, when I talk, I imagine someone's envisioning this like I'm shoveling pizza slice after pizza slice and hot dog after hot dog down my mouth. It's just, it's not even that. It's, I think honestly, to give myself a little credit, minor tweaks would probably be that exponential gain that I'm expecting or that I'm waiting for.
Okay.
'Cause most meals are I think are pretty solid.
Okay.
Or you know, but there's probably tweaks that could happen in each one that the cumulative effect of would really make a big difference. You know, watching, for example, I still eat rice relatively regularly.
Okay.
And I've found that it doesn't really have a negative effect on me other than the negative effects of such carbohydrates, right?
Okay.
But
I'm a big proponent of eating rice.
I probably need to be more careful about how much rice I eat, right?
Okay.
I mean, need to maybe not have 2 cups.
Okay.
3 cups.
Okay.
Limit it to, you know, 3/4 of a cup or something like that, and just kind of get used to that. That would probably be a huge difference right there. And if you add up the calories that I'd be saving,
right,
that kind of thing.
And replace them. Throw some broccoli, broccoli in there. So if we look at your situation in its totality, then to attack all of it at the same time is overwhelming. And this is what most of us do. You go, all right, my health isn't good, so I need to change my fitness, my diet, my meditation, my sleep schedule, and 3 other things. Let's do it all at the same time. So I'm going to quit drinking, start working out 6 days a week, eat perfectly, meditate for 2 hours every morning, levitating off the floor, and be a god.
Yes.
And it will last for 2 days.
And you're right. And I definitely have had that struggle too. Like,
so let's take your situation and go with just one area. What is one area that we can take down, take 20%, make it 20% better?
Well, like I just said, diet's probably the easy one where you can just start cutting things or parsing the meals a little bit better.
Okay.
And eliminating some of the excess.
Okay.
I'm probably just taking in. I'm probably taking in just still too many calories.
Okay.
That's probably the easy one.
Do you know how many calories you're taking in?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I've tried stuff like the MyFitnessPal.
Right.
And it's cool and it's helpful, but it's also still cumbersome. It's one more thing to do.
Yeah, it's one more aspect.
And you know, I tried it while I was in the middle of trying to do all these other things, right? Trying to start the meditation and meal planning and all that, and then I got to remember to write all this down too. And it just was it was too many to dos,
right?
And I gotta minimize those.
Okay.
So I mean, that's a simple one. That's probably the one that's most common for everybody. Is just, you know, eat more of the right calories, and just watch the stuff that you know can be dangerous.
Okay.
That seems pretty simple.
Sure. The things that are simple are always the simplest not to do, though. So how do we guarantee this? How about you send me a photo of each meal for a week?
All right.
That's it. Just text me a photo of each meal.
I'm a hungry guy. I'm going to blow up your phone.
It's okay.
Do we need to upgrade your plan?
No, I'm good. But for people listening out there, this is something where you need to enroll a friend.
Yeah.
Or you need to have an accountability partner. Because if not, what happens? We slip 1%. We go, oh, you know what? F it. I'm tired. I'm going to have a big meal of rice today. And then tomorrow it's harder to get back on track. And then the third day it's harder to get back on track. And then on day 4 you've just said, you know what? I'll start on Monday. And then Monday comes and we're back in the same rotation.
Yeah.
And so this is universal. It's not just law enforcement, and it's myself included, that I have to have people that I reach out to and say, hey, I'm trying to do this. Hold me accountable. Because my life is going to get complicated in a week, and I'm going to go, F it. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. So let's start with that.
Okay.
So every meal you eat and snacks, just send me a text photo of them. Cool, and we'll do it for a week so we're not too ingrained in each other's lives. But that, I believe, will get you the momentum just to get back on track.
Sure.
Because there's a large population that knows exactly what to do and doesn't need a huge medical intervention to come in and change their whole lives. They just need to make the 10% better, right? Just what we talked about last week, the better is better. And once you get a little bit of momentum with that, then we can say, okay, it's been a week. We got this dialed. Good. How do you feel? How are you feeling with these meals? How are you feeling about other aspects of your fitness in your life? Okay, let's add another small piece and keep this on track. Or see if you can enroll your wife or someone else with you. Of like, hey, I need some help with this. It's okay to reach out for help. I think especially as guys, it's the hardest thing to do.
Sure.
I'll just do this myself, but we don't. Or we'll do it for a little while and suffer. Or even enroll other men. Just get other guys on the team, right? Especially I think once we get out of college and people are off teams, not sure how it is in law enforcement if it's a big team feel, but male power is amazing. Yeah. And so having that accountability of, all right, we're in this together, or find someone that can do it with you is huge.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about like being out of college and the discipline. What struck me earlier this week was, I'm thinking about these discipline issues, like why I have discipline. I'm just not using it in every aspect of my life. I don't have that disciplined bearing like you find with guys who did spent time in the military or who just kind of grew up with it. I didn't grow up with that kind of typical disciplined household you would expect. And my parents weren't slouches by any means, but I don't recall discipline being a consistent or a strong lesson. It was there in other ways, but my dad wasn't the guy who had us up at 6 a.m. in the morning to go run laps at the school just because.
Right.
So
I think oftentimes you'll find with that group, though, you're either going to get someone that's hardcore still into it or they rebel against it.
True.
So it can go both ways. And discipline, I think, can, one, be developed. And two, look at it this way. Again, if we go back to money or energy, say you have $100 of discipline and you've got to use that for both your law enforcement career, your family, and then whatever's left over you have for you. You made the point earlier that you don't act like fit people act, or you think the way a fit person should think, but then when it comes to the actions, it's a challenge. One of the things that I believe is once a habit becomes ingrained, you no longer have to pay to do it. That makes sense. It actually becomes the opposite, where if you don't do it, it becomes expensive. Yeah. So you're trying to finance a huge amount of change. This is why change is hard, because energetically it's expensive. It costs. It costs you. And if you don't have that savings account, or you're spending it because you have kids and you have a wife and you have law enforcement, then it's not just a lack of discipline, or it's not I can do it in this area and I can't do it here. You're doing it over here, but it's costing you. Well, so at the end of the day, you're like, I'm out of discipline dollars. I'm going to lie on the couch. And until going to the gym becomes something that's second nature, until every Sunday night you just are freaking out going, I don't know what's wrong. Oh yeah, I haven't cooked 7 meals for tomorrow. Until it's ingrained in you and it's not costing you to remember, it's going to be a challenge.
And that's so frustrating, because you see people. I was talking about John Parra earlier and to someone else, and so he's a games athlete, father of 3. He's a full-time LA County Sheriff's deputy.
Wow.
And he placed, I think, 18th at the games this year.
Wow.
And it's his 3rd trip, if I'm correct.
Awesome.
Sponsored by RX, Smart Gear, the jump rope company, a couple others. It's like, now, I'm like, wait, what? He can do it. What is the difference? And I guess that's part of this whole podcast is figuring out what the difference is. Where is the difference between someone like him and someone like me, and how can I close that gap? But it's so I feel like I'm giving myself an out sometimes when I'm like, oh, I got kids and I got a wife and I got this shift schedule job and we're busy. It's like, well, everybody's busy,
right?
So like, shut the hell up, Garrett. Like you can't. I can't use those as crutches,
right?
Or at least in good sense, feel like I can't, because other people have them too, and they do it.
Right.
What has struck me, though, is that, again, being a parent, though, and that group of parents, at least the parents that were around, it strikes me that, as an adult, there's nobody there to discipline you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except us, I guess, the cops. But I mean, like, there's nobody to instill discipline in you.
Right.
There's no teacher,
right.
unless you go seek it out, like I am now doing.
Right.
But there's nobody to wake me up at 6 a.m.,
right.
pull the covers off, and say, get your ass out of bed and hit the track.
Right.
Or go to the gym, or go to the pool, or lift weights, watch your diet. What are you eating? I'm an adult. I'm allowed to make my own decisions.
Right.
Good and bad.
Right.
And so, at some point, all the having that, again, that's why I think it's important for everyone to have a coach.
Right.
Because you get a little of that back. But in my social circle of parents, there's no positive reinforcement for discipline. Mm-hmm. And I'd say it's even the lack of discipline is even excused. Mm-hmm. We're tired. Everybody's tired. Misery loves company. So there's no one in that group kind of giving you a hard time because they get it.
Right.
And they don't want to change either because they're tired. Versus like an experience I had this morning at the gym where I was the oldest in the private training room by probably 10 years at least.
Okay.
Super. I mean, it looked like people, like a comp team, competitive team was working together, and not only just like super intimidating to be in there, but I was watching them all interact, and they actually very much had the peer pressure still of or the benefits of the peer pressure of being disciplined. In other words, this was a group they all obviously wanted to be a part of. Mm-hmm. They all got along. But if you were in this alpha group, started to slack and started to not be disciplined, they were going to be like the sick lion, mm-hmm. or the sick antelope. The sick antelope, maybe, who is now dragging down the herd, and the rest of the herd is going to kick that antelope off the cliff for the goodness of the herd, right? They want to get rid of the sick and weak one. That was very much the dynamic in that group. And that was not a mean thing. It's just that, I mean, they have that hyper discipline desire to be part of that group of super fit, super active, competitive CrossFitters. Yeah. That is a natural, that discipline's a natural byproduct of that peer pressure.
Yes.
I don't have that in my group.
No.
In fact, it's the opposite, kind of the, why don't you, whatever, flour anymore.
Right. Right. God, you eat gluten.
Yeah.
Hippie.
Yeah, exactly. Why, so an observation from this morning.
So talk about the games athlete. What decisions do you think he's making? Tell me his name again.
John Para.
John Para. What decisions is
John,
he
if
making?
you're listening, we'd love to have you on the show. Please, squadronpodcast@gmail.com. What decisions is he making?
I mean, you're not.
Well, I read a little bit about him. He's working out 2 or 3 times a day.
Okay.
He's obviously very dialed in on diet.
Okay.
He's still got his kids,
okay.
but he does things like takes the kids to the gym with him.
Okay.
Well, that's something I really never consider.
Okay.
As an option. And I need to be more adaptable and malleable to that, right?
Okay.
But I mean, like, as I showed you this little whiteboard here that my daughter came up with, I can probably knock out a home workout here. I mean, I have a squat rack bar and some plates and all that. I can probably do something at home while she does something with me. Mm-hmm. If I plan ahead, mm-hmm. I just have to be prepared, because otherwise it's like I don't really want her sitting inside watching TV while I'm out here if she's home.
Course.
But that does happen too, of course. I mean, I'm human. But I don't know. That's why I'd love to know. I mean, he still works. He works 12, 14-hour shifts too. Mm-hmm. He's got the same challenges. Mm-hmm. I don't know how he's overcoming those.
Okay.
I mean, I would love to know. I really would. I mean, it would be a fascinating
What would you
conversation.
have to do to set your life up in that same fashion? What would be different? And what would be the different mindset going into it?
Well, in some ways, it's I have to be honest that it's a little bit of an unfair comparison because he is a competitive athlete too.
Okay.
So he is treating himself as a professional athlete.
Okay.
Which, I don't want to be hypocritical because we talk about ourselves as cops being professional athletes or tactical athletes or warrior athletes, as Greg Amundsen calls them. But I mean, he gets paid money to do this job, so he treats it as a job, and I think his family treats it as a job with him, and they treat the benefits of the job as something that benefits the entire family, both financially and in other ways. Okay. So,
do you think it's primarily a financial difference, or is it a decision-making difference?
What do you mean?
That's the difference between you doing it and him doing it. Is it just that he's getting a paycheck for it?
No. I mean, it's certainly not what started him into it and all that. I mean, I guess maybe the level of his intensity might be financially driven, or I don't even see financially driven, but just the fact that he's a professional at it. Okay. I'm sure changes his and his family's mindset. Okay. Towards their approach to it. Okay. They make more accommodations for the 3 workouts a day, that kind of stuff. I don't have that ability to be that accommodating. Okay. Excuse me. It's all right. And what about another set of decisions? So maybe if it was just 1 workout a day, does it that he's a competitive athlete, so do you need to create a competition? What I'm trying to do is take what his decision-making could be and bring it onto our side of the house. I was saying because he's probably not making $1 million a year as a CrossFit competitor. No. Yeah, probably. Yeah, nothing.
If it's about being a competitive athlete, we can sign you up for competition.
Yeah, you just gave me a weird look.
Right, we can make you a competitive CrossFitter.
Yeah.
Would that change how you approached it?
No.
Okay.
I really don't think it would.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I have a. This is great podcast material when the host goes, I don't know.
It's okay. You're working through a lot of the challenges and the challenge in thinking that a lot of other people out there are, that are saying, hey, I see someone who's doing it and I want to do it. So let's actually try to hash out where the resistance is.
So much resistance. And that's the absolutely right word. And for people listening, Stephen Pressfield's books on that, Do the Work and the Art of War, or The War of Art.
Yep.
And what was the other one?
Turning Pro.
Turning Pro. Turning Pro is definitely a good one to start with.
Fabulous.
And that resistance, that just kind of his idea of resistance is all those negative things, all the negative self-talk, all the things that we think that prevent us from kind of achieving our the fullest version of ourselves.
Yeah. So let's ask you this: what would your life look like if that resistance wasn't there? Would you just wake up at 6 a.m. naturally and go, "I'm getting after it," or "I'm going in the kitchen"?
I'd probably work out even earlier. I'd probably yeah. I mean,
so what would it look like? Walk me through it. There is no resistance anymore. What does that look like for you?
It would probably be, I mean, I'd be up early.
Okay.
Work out here.
At home.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just do most of it here, and then
most of it being 1 workout a day. Let's get specific.
Most days.
Okay.
But then trying to be active throughout the day.
Okay. Most days is how many days?
Well, I don't know. Realistically, that's what I'm working on. The way my schedule works.
Just no resistance. What would it look like?
Well, resistance including job?
Yeah. Stuff you have to factor in.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay. So like 3 days. This is my long weekend, so I have 4 days off.
Okay.
Pretty sweet. Sunday through Wednesday. That's 4 straight days of being able to do a lot of extra work. Okay. A lot of shopping. My meal prep happens during that time. My meal plans, all that sort of stuff happen in those 4 days. Okay. Because the next 3 days, I'm at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on shift. Okay. Realistically, have to be at work by about 5:15 in the morning. Oh, wow. But that doesn't mean I can't squeeze something in beforehand.
Before 5:15 in the morning?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes.
Huh.
But it's tough.
Yeah.
And it requires,
yes, it is.
And that's really a challenge, is that it comes working backwards from that, right? So if I'm up at 4,
right,
I have to get to bed, especially after episode 10, where Doc Parsley's got me all freaked out about my sleep. I have to get to bed at like 8. My kids don't even go to bed at 8.
Right.
And So that's not happening. So that ebb and flow of good days, bad days, the kids got to bed on time. Maybe I can get into sleep a little bit more. So reasonably, those things can reasonably happen. Okay. Like I could work out at 4 a.m. I could go down to the high school and work out at the track and do some stuff, not wake up the kids. But at the same time, so much of that depends on how well I slept through the night or when I got to sleep.
Right.
And then there's just the honesty of, like, I just worked a 12-hour shift, came home, cooked dinner because I cooked most of the meals, got the kids to bed, plopped down on the couch finally at 8:30. And the last thing I want to do is go into Groundhog Day and go straight back into go to bed and just do it all over again.
Okay.
That kind of gets maddening too.
Right.
So on my long work weeks where I work 4 days straight, that cycle of work is a little tough, but I could probably realistically squeeze in 1 or 2 pre-work workouts.
So 1 out of the 3 days you can get a workout in.
I would say that's very reasonable.
Okay.
And that's what I'm just kind of working on right now. And that's what I wanted to talk about next was.
So no resistance. What does that look like? It's all 4 days that you're off, you have a workout in, and then 1 day where you have a.
So realistically,
one of your work days.
If you look at it as like a pay period, 2 weeks.
Right.
1 week would be 5 workouts. 1 would probably be 4.
That's brilliant.
That's not bad. That's really good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the resistance in there? What's stopping you from doing that right now?
Energy, in some ways. Like I said, that's sleep. Just still.
Because you're back on days, or just it hasn't reset?
Oh no, I'm reset. But you come home from. Yeah, just the coming home from work, and especially in the heat, just adjusting to the heat again after working nights for a while. You're just taxed, right? You're done. It's really hard to do anything, and I think every cop listing will know that challenge of being present and being willing to make decisions after work when they're like the classic. What do you want to have for dinner? Like, I don't care. You pick, and I'll eat whatever it is. Okay. I just can't make another decision.
Okay.
Lots of jobs are like that. I think ours is a little different.
Okay.
And that some of those decisions you make are so critical.
Right. Of course.
I'll tell a story to maybe expand upon that a little bit. So this week, had an experience that I've been lucky that I haven't had to have yet until this week. When we got a call of an allied agency, 1199. My California officers at least will know what that is, but most officers will know 1199 means officer down.
Okay.
Right. That's the worst call you're going to hear on the radio.
Okay.
I've heard shots fired, and I've been en route to calls, but I've never heard 1199 officer down. And I was watch commander or watch sergeant for the area where this was happening, and I was the one in charge of our response to it. And a lot of things go through your mind as you're doing this. And this happened to be in an area that was like 15, 18 miles from where all of us were. It was out in a very rural area, luckily along a highway, so at least we had the advantage of highway speeds to get out there. But it was a long ways away.
Okay.
And then, lo and behold, as luck would have it, one plainclothes deputy happened to be right around the corner from it.
Oh, wow.
He was coming from a meeting. All he had with him was a radio and a gun.
Okay.
And he just realized as the call went out that he was going to be right on top of it in about 2 minutes. So he got there, and his radio transmissions coupled with the 1199, and we're racing up the highway to get there. I was convinced I was going 125 miles an hour into an active gun battle.
Right.
I mean, that's what I believed with complete certainty was happening, right? That a protracted, violent gun battle was happening, and I was heading into it.
Right.
Now, I know that some officers in major cities are going to be like, yeah, it's Tuesday. But the vast majority of officers never fire their weapons, and the vast majority of us never respond to an officer involved shooting, much less an officer down.
Right.
So this was a new experience. Even after 10 years, this was the one this was a new one. And like I said, I've responded to shots fired or shots, officers involved in the shooting, but it's always over before arrival. And we had a shooting a couple months ago. Talked about this was my first, and it was my first being in charge of officers were going into and sending them to this same gun battle, engage in an active gun battle. Mm-hmm. This was my first, and it was my first being in charge of other people too, and sending them to this same gun battle,
right?
And setting up our response to it, and then it turned into this whole thing turned into a pursuit and everything else out of that. But my point in this story, there's a lot of things that you fall back to, of course, and that's it was heartening to know that training kicked in, the acknowledgement of fear, but the controlling of it because you knew what you were going to do, right? I mean, I again, 125 miles an hour, 100, I'm going through my checklist. Well, if this is happening, then this is what I'm going to do. If this is happening, then this is what I'm going to do. All the way down this list, all the possibilities I could think of in my head. So I knew that, and luckily I had plenty of time to think these things through. So I knew what my response was going to be. So I'd be lying to say I wasn't scared, but I was comfortable with how I was going to respond, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. But those are a lot of decisions in there.
Right.
That entire event probably was several hundred decisions.
Right.
Where spike strips were supposed to go, or where they were.
Right.
Who to post at what places in case the pursuit came south, and do we need medical, and do we need an air unit, do we need canines, and all these other, lots and lots of decisions. I was taxed, like that adrenaline dump after that. Luckily it resolved itself to the point where the officer's fine. He's a little banged up and hurt, but he's not a career-ending injuries or anything like that. According to the suspect, it was just a big misunderstanding.
Those happen.
Yeah, cocaine will do that to you.
Yeah.
But I was just taxed, right? And I was just my faculties were taxed by the time I got home. That I was not prepared to make any decisions.
Right, I get it. Yeah.
And just drained, totally drained. That adrenaline dump after that, and something like that, and your energy level dips, just crashes.
Right.
So it's hard to then, like, well, what am I going to do tomorrow? What's my workout tomorrow? Or what's my meal plan for tomorrow? Like, if that's not ready in advance,
right,
forget about it.
Yeah, I hear you. So as part of the resistance then, knowing that that your life at any moment can go haywire, but when you do have time, doing the setup. So planning the days you're going to work out and having a schedule beforehand to say, okay, I'm working out Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, with the knowledge that I may have an X factor in there that goes, Monday was an adrenaline dump. Tuesday, I'm not getting out of bed.
Yeah, I think I need to. I'm trying to treat all my days off as if I had some, like you were referring to, high-end CEO job.
Right.
And everything I do is scheduled.
Okay.
And that sounds oppressive, but I think I've tried it a couple times over the last 2 weeks, and it's actually rather freeing.
Right.
Because you know what you're going to do, so you don't have to think about it. And I know that at 9 a.m. I'm going to hit the gym.
Right.
I know I'll be out of the gym by 10, and then I need to go do the grocery shopping. So I'll be done with that around 11:30.
Right.
And then I have other projects I need to work on, or I return emails or that sort of stuff for an hour, and then I spend 30 minutes cooking. That's another thing. Actually scheduling lunch. Because otherwise I end up at 2 o'clock realizing I hadn't eaten lunch because I'm running errands all the time and all that. So like 30 minutes for lunch. Having that ready to go. That's actually that day. That has been a really good thing. I can't plan my work day. I have no idea what's going to come on the radio next. Right. That's forget about it.
Yeah.
But having control over those days off like that and having it laid out, and then I don't have that anxiety too that I'm forgetting something or that I'm missing something. I know that tomorrow, for example, is meal prep day.
Okay.
So I know all the things that go with it: the shopping, the menu design, going to the store.
Right.
And I have that time blocked off.
So what happens when you schedule it? Let's get to what's underneath that. What happens when something becomes scheduled?
It takes that decision. You don't have to make that decision at the time.
Right.
Right. So I'm not left wondering what should I do, and then I think about all my options, and then I have this paralysis by analysis, thinking, well, I can't decide, so I'm going to just look at Facebook.
Yeah.
You have a goal, you need to accomplish it, and you carry on, and that seems to be a really big benefit.
Good. Think of it this way too: when you schedule something, it is now the number one priority.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's unscheduled, it gets to compete with every other distraction, idea, concept, etc. But if it's in there, say 9 to 10, I'm shopping. Shopping isn't the biggest priority of the day, but for that hour it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of the Facebook, the emails, anything else that you can come up with are lesser priorities. So that lets you put the high priority or high value, high value actions on your calendar. Then you get them done. Where what happens usually at the end of a day is we've done stuff that's not a priority. We've just done stuff that's easiest to click off the list or doesn't cause us the stress in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Or we just effed off and screwed around.
Yeah.
But if it hits the schedule, it's a priority.
Yeah.
And that's very important because especially if you are taxed of energy, then priorities shift, right? If you have to, if literally someone's going to put a gun to your head and said, you have to create a meal for tomorrow, you do it. Because it's all of a sudden a really big priority. But if that gun's gone and it's either the couch or the meal, then the priority is going to be the couch because you're so damn tired.
Mm-hmm.
So scheduling stuff just prioritizes it.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to make sure that the high value actions are getting done. So let's prioritize these 5 workouts a week or 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
So schedule them. Do that.
Yeah.
And if you can post that, if you have it on your, maybe put on your website, like a picture of the calendar with the workouts put in.
Yeah.
And show that. So then we both know that they're scheduled. So this is how you mess with resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Resistance doesn't like schedules. Resistance likes to come in at the last minute and go, you don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's scheduled, then resistance has nowhere to go. It can't come in the room.
Yeah.
The garage door's shut. I'm already in there with the weights. But open idea, then resistance gets to come in. Same with food.
Yeah.
Resistance is going to come and say, well, you don't have to eat that. You can eat the baked potato. But by having something set up around it, like having to have the photo or having accountability, keeps resistance at bay.
So then that's a good segue then to, we schedule the workout itself, but then the other challenge in that is if you're doing this by yourself, what do you do once you get there?
Okay.
I'm sure everybody's had that experience of walking into the 24-hour fitness or the Equinox or whatever and being like, staring at the racks and being like, I guess I'll do curls.
Okay. So that's a little bit about program design.
Yeah. Well, to me, that's okay. So again, this isn't a CrossFit podcast, but this is why I love CrossFit as much as I do. I don't have to think about it.
Right.
I go in, someone tells me what to do, and I do that. It kicks my ass, and I feel better. Problem solved.
Excellent.
For the day anyway.
Yeah. One of.
This is even better where I tell you, hey, this is what I want to accomplish. You go, cool, do this.
Right.
And I go do that.
Right.
Feel better.
Right.
Problem solved.
Right.
One of many. I have compiled, 20 to 30 home workouts based on either stuff we've done at the gym that I like or things that I've just come up with that I have here that I can repeat and I write them down and keep track and all that. But what are your recommendations for someone's personal program design if they either have a set at home or they go to a kind of a traditional gym, but they don't know where to start?
Sure.
Yeah, that's a big topic, I know, but what is just some of the basics?
Sure. So depending on equipment. So if you're going into a standard gym, I don't like to walk into something not knowing what I'm doing or not having a plan. So even if you're walking into a standard gym, I actually used to love and still do writing my own workouts. So I'd geek out on a Sunday and go, okay, what am I going to do? And in this day and age with websites, I would say go look at, if you're a CrossFitter, it's easy. Go find a gym that you like, follow their programming. If you're walking into 24-hour fitness, I would break up my days. So figure out, am I coming in 4 days a week? Am I only going to make it twice this week? Is this the only workout I'm going to go for this week? That kind of, that will skew things a little bit. Also depending, don't want to get too much into it, but what's your goal? If your goal is just generalized health, you want to get a bunch of different movement patterns in. I want to push. I want to pull. I want to squat. I want to hinge. I want to do abdominal work. I want to hang on stuff. So mixing and matching as much as you possibly can do is where I'd say to start. But if you're limited equipment, their body weight movements are fantastic. Especially law enforcement, push-ups, sit-ups, air squats, lunges. You basically just want to mix up upper body, lower body, push, pull if you can. Without equipment, it's hard to pull unless you have a pull-up bar. But basic body weight movements mixed in patterns that you want to do. So don't overthink it. So
would you recommend if someone's looking at stuff, they focus more, not on kind of your standard, like buys and tries, or, like, okay, today I'm going to work out my biceps and my back. That's a common one, right? Or I'm going to do today's leg day, but nobody ever does, right? So you only do like squats for the day, or you do only bottom, you do lunges or squats or the hamstring curls, and that's all you do. Would you suggest that someone mix that up a little bit, do some squatting, but also some upper body?
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of walking out of a gym only having done worked out 2 parts of my body. I'm still a believer in use your whole body. That's why I love jiu-jitsu. That's why I love surfing. Activities that you have to use your whole body. So no, I would say do push-ups, do squats, do pull-ups, do lunges. Mix the patterns, mix the rep schemes, but work your whole body, especially for law enforcement. Have you ever gotten in a situation you're like, thank God I only need to use my right arm 42 times in this one pattern? No, you're going to have to run. You're going to have to jump. You're going to have to pull. You're going to have to push. You're going to have to go up and down stairs. You're going to have to pick up heavy shit. So mix it up every time. I wouldn't dominate. Like, all right, Monday I'm going to do 1,000 squats. Tuesday I'm going to do 1,000 squats. Wednesday, same thing. But I'm not a fan of isolation. In any activity, it just doesn't seem to be that human. Human movement isn't isolated.
No.
We move a lot. We move in conjunction with other parts of our body. If you're specifically training as bodybuilding and that's competitive, then yeah, you may want it. You're gonna have a program to follow. But for the average person, think of your body the way it's designed. It's designed to do a lot of different stuff. Make it do a lot of different stuff in different patterns, and it will adapt. So do squats, then get down on the floor and do sit-ups, then stand up and do presses, then do a handstand, then hold a push-up plank, then do some lunges, then do some V-twists. And what do you know? You've worked your whole body. One, it's not boring, right? I'm going to do 8 sets of curls. God, I'd rather shoot myself. Find different ways to keep your mind engaged too. We can also talk task dominant versus time dominant. Do you only have 20 minutes to work out? Awesome. Take 3 minutes to warm up and then do something for 17 minutes. Do you have all day? Okay, we can do 5 rounds or 10 rounds, etc. I like time dominant just if I'm in my own garage because I probably have other stuff to do. But I know in 20 minutes of just calisthenics, I can get a really good workout in.
That's definitely the one sometimes, 20 minutes.
Perfect.
And what warm-up would you do?
Run, if I can. And I despise running. Absolutely hate running. But it's a great warm-up activity. Jumping jacks, skip rope. I mean, the only point of a warm-up is to warm your body up, literally to raise your body temperature, to increase blood flow, to get your muscles moving and body moving. So yeah, or lighter movements, so some squats, lunges. I have a pretty standard warm-up where I'll run a half a mile, grab up Olympic bar, do hang power cleans, deadlifts, back squats, presses, put the thing down, grab a kettlebell, repeat it with the kettlebell, and I'm pretty much good to go. That's it. It's taken 6-7 minutes, and if something's tight, I'm going to stretch it. If it's not, I'm ready to hit it after that.
Cool. I like that idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, always good information. These our episodes together are challenging in some ways, only because I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Which that sounds stupid. Of course I have to be honest. You have to be honest in everything, and it sounds silly for me as a cop to say have to be honest. But I mean, you really have to take a look at, like we talked about originally, like your A point.
Right.
And and these are good because I constantly have to reevaluate my A point.
Right.
Because even though I've moved forward and, I think I'm 25 pounds down from when we started.
Yeah, which is huge.
Which is, yeah, no, it is. And I need to at the same time give myself some credit for that.
Right.
But then also know that there is a lot more that could be done.
Right.
That I need to do and that I need to be honest about.
Right. And maybe using a multi-time games athlete as the opposition, not opposition, but the opposing.
The pinnacle.
The pinnacle. Yeah. It's a lot for right now.
It is, yeah.
And that's just going to frustrate you.
Yeah.
You know, you're making $10 an hour and you go, you know what, there's a billionaire out there.
Yeah.
What's different between me and him? We don't know where he came into this game.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, you're absolutely right. And it's not fair.
But we can model him. Say, okay, I bet you he gets up every morning and gets his ass out of bed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have that resistance.
Yeah.
But until you build that same muscle, just use him as an example as opposed to.
And that's the challenge is building that muscle.
Yeah.
'Cause change is hard.
Change is hard. It is hard. It will change you. That's why it's hard.
Yeah.
And none of us, it's scary.
And it takes, I think anyone who's going through their own transition like this will understand or agree that it's not just changing your fitness routine, or it's not just changing your diet, or it's not just changing those two things. It takes changing a lot of other things, and other things come up too, unexpected things.
Yeah,
that all of a sudden get wrapped up in all of this as well.
You're not going to change your life with the same brain you use to balance your checkbook. It has to go deeper, and I'm not really sure how to articulate that. But it's not your rational thinking brain that will create the habits. Mm-hmm. But it's the deeper parts of you, part of your psyche, part of your unconscious, part of who you really are at your core. That stuff has to shift, and when that happens, then you have real change, which is why people go through, near-death experiences and then they change their whole lives. Because it wasn't they woke up one day and were like, oh, okay, cool. I'll just be different. So they got rocked to their core.
Right.
You know? So change is hard.
Shift, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man, thanks for coming by.
Not at all. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Everyone, please leave a review on iTunes if you have any comments, concerns, statements, anything you want to share with us, squadroompodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. We appreciate your support as always. And until next time, take care and take care of each other, all right? Stay safe.